your life kind of projected out of how it was going to be, so the next 6 months, right?
Yeah.
6 year. This is how it's going to be. I have this job, and I'm this is what it looks like. And with all of that vanishing in snap of a finger, right? 24 hours, it's gone. How long was the grieving process of what you projected? Like, how long did you sit in that space of everything I thought was going to be it's gone. It's not like it's late. Like sometimes you can feel like, this company may go over. So there's a process for you to get things together and kind of get your affairs in order.
Yeah.
But to wake up and all of it's gone, then there is no process to it. How long was that just kind of sitting in that grieving process of the loss of the projection that you had kind of laid out for your life? Or did you immediately go to, all right, we got to, move back. What are we going to do? We're about to have a baby. Like, how long was that process?
I think it was very short. I think for me personally, I would have liked, probably just because it's my personality, I'll linger on stuff and take some time to really process things. But my ex-wife, she's a pragmatic and practical person. Mm-hmm. So it probably wasn't very long. It might have just been a night, maybe a day. Yeah. Before we're like, okay, we got to, fix this. We got to change something. We got to do something. Yeah. I think it comes a lot from her and I. We grew up very differently, right? Mm-hmm. So I think I talked about this before, where from the moment she was born, like her family, they owned businesses. Yeah. Like a chain of restaurants. So there was always that work ethic. There was always that money coming in, that responsibility. She was not used to ever like not having anything, right? Me, on the other hand, I grew up very poor and moved from place to place. I constantly moved from, into different schools every year. So my whole thing is like, I learned to build up like survival skills, and I can cope with disaster striking. Okay, what do I do? It feels bad, but it doesn't feel something I can't overcome right away. It's just a survival instinct kicking in. So for me, it was probably just a night or two, just trying to process, okay, do we stay? What do we do? And it was probably most likely her decision to like, no, we got to leave. We got to go.
And I think that's natural, because I think there's 3 different directions that you can kind of go in that situation, right? There's like, you can lean back in it. And I think that's a natural where you start questioning everything. How can they do this? What happened? What did they do? You're trying to think for the person who made the decision. Yeah. What was going through their mind when they did this? Where are they? You start spiraling down the why and the how and so you kind of sit back in it. And then there's I need to sit and process, right? Give me a day. Like you said, you had like maybe a day or two where you don't necessarily sit back and think of what you will never know what happened. You just kind of sit in it of, okay, I need to process this. I just need to grieve kind of the loss of what I projected out, right? Yeah. What I thought was going to be the next 6 months to the year of my life. I'm not going to try to think about why it happened, because none of that matters now. I need a day to process what happened. Yeah. And I have to sit in this feeling, and that may be a week, right? That may be a day. For you, it was rather quick, right? It was a day or two. Yeah. And then you kind of lean forward, like, all right, what do we need to do? What are our next steps? But I think that grieving process is important, because when something happens that drastic, and you're talking about, all right, you walk in, it's like a totally different building. Like, this was a McDonald's. This was my job before. How did they, it's completely different. There is a process of grief where it's no longer, it's gone. That's the reality of it, right? It doesn't matter why it happened, how it happened, it's gone. Take the time and grieve, right? Don't sit in that, but just take a moment and process what happened. Because sometimes you can be in shock. Yeah. And you've got to settle with that, and then move forward with whatever the next steps were.
Because you have to come up with the plan. And, when something hits you that all of a sudden out of nowhere, it might give you, it might make it difficult for you to come up with a game plan, or you might come up with a solution that might not be the best solution at the time. So I think that's important to process and give it some time and try to clear your thoughts before you try and find a solution, because you might lead yourself down the wrong path.
Yeah. And it's kind of like, you get into an accident or something where something happens, and you have the adrenaline rushing. And so you don't get to feel what you're going through, because the body is like protecting itself from the pain. But then at some point, that adrenaline kind of runs out, and then all of a sudden you feel it.